There are two very distinct sides, one of prosperity and one of struggle and hardship. This only increases as time goes on. Looking at the statistics, it's quite obvious that nothing is being done to actually fix the issue, but it only becomes worse. It seems as if the middle class is being squeezed from both sides and it's unable to handle the pressure. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at several issues, but I want to have my focus on the middle class. Let's begin with this. Top 20 most prosperous cities in the US. And you will note that this information is not fully up to date, but it gives us a good idea as to what's going on. So you can see that there is a legend on the left-hand side over here showing us the rank. The darker it is, the closer to number one, essentially. So you'll move your mouse around. This is rentcafe.com. And it will show you different data points for these particular cities. So if I put my mouse over Seattle, I can see that it's ranked 15th. Population change, 19% income change, home values, higher education, and so on. So it'll go through these. I don't want to touch on all of them, but I can just name a few points from a couple that I see here. You will see that some of them are encountering more home value change and others, let's say, are decreasing their unemployment numbers. I see a lot of places here that are located in Texas. And Texas at this time, we're using 2016 numbers. Look at the oil prices today. Just in the last little while, how they have increased. I'm sure these numbers are even more positive in Texas. You can see the home value change, 91%, poverty, minus 36%, unemployment, minus 24%, and so on. There are other areas in California here, towards the south. Looking at areas like Washington, D.C., obviously, covered that before here on the channel. Home value change, 135%. And so it's interesting to see these very, very prosperous cities. And then you compare that to the whole, and you have a very different situation. Well, let's cover some of that today. I want to touch on a lot of points. Just how much money do you need to earn to be considered rich? For some Americans, the answer is having an average of $2.4 million to your name. That's almost 30 times the actual median net worth of U.S. households. As the government, they'll define wealthy as individuals earning at least $500,000 and couples earning $600,000. The new income thresholds that now pay the top marginal income tax rate of 37%, and so on. Well, it depends on where you are. This is interesting here. If I scroll down, I'm not going to go through all of them, but essentially they did this little, study here and found you're rich if you earn $52,000 in Detroit, Michigan. The average person, I believe it's right under here, median household income is just $26,000. So surely, if you're earning $52,000, you're doing better than most other people. You are rich, but take that $52,000 and go to Washington, D.C., go to, San Francisco, doesn't buy you anything. So each city has its own questions that need to be answered. A lot of people are moving cities in search of more prosperity, and I think you have to be very careful and you have to know the income that you're making today and what you think you're going to be spending in that place you're fleeing to. The American middle class is dying. In 2015, it dipped below 50% of the population for the first time since data collection started on the issue. It's now an official minority group. Meanwhile, nearly half of Americans don't have enough money to cover a surprise $400 expense. Many are living paycheck to paycheck, little to no cushion. U.S. homes are less affordable than they've been in decades, possibly ever. And it goes on to talk about some more details. Well, these are the issues that I've discussed consistently. Recently, I've done a few videos on it, and I'm just going to move on here quickly. Home affordability is going down, and you know that this is because of central bank intervention. They have been driving these prices higher, and there's no way that this is a sustainable model. People are completely priced out of buying homes. They're taking on $1 million mortgages, and they are getting into fancy derivatives and products and no income, no job, no asset, ninja loan type deals, interest only mortgages, adjustable rates. There's no way that this is going to end well. We already know what will happen. We just found out 10 years ago. Hollowing out, middle income households have shrunk as a proportion of the population. So you can see that the darker the color, goes from low, moderate, and high. Just showing us here how different areas respond differently. We're talking about the US, but it's such a diverse and a lot of differences depending on where you look. Okay, interconnected with that image here, you can see this. Data show that middle income households have continued moving down and less so up. The income distribution in the United States since the 1970s, a phenomenon that is often referred to as the polarization or hollowing out of the income distribution. While the level of income polarization is generally lower in the richer states, there have been wide variations in the changes in income polarization over time across the states. It goes on, but essentially, you saw the image for yourself. I'm going to move on. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here, but I'll touch on a couple points. Strong wage growth and steady home prices buoy California housing affordability. 31% of California households could afford to purchase the $538,000 median priced home in the first quarter of 2018, up from 29% in the fourth quarter, down from 32% a year ago. I don't know how they can afford the home prices, and 538 does seem very low. A minimum annual income of $111,000 was needed to make the monthly payments of $2,800, including principal, interest, and taxes on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 4.4% interest rates. 39% of home buyers were able to purchase the $449 median home priced condo townhome. All right, so you need a $93,000 annual income to be able to make the payments. It goes on more detail in here, but essentially just wanted to note, how is the average person able to afford these prices? I just don't see how it is. I know how it works in Toronto, and that is people use their homes like ATMs to fund their discretionary purchases. This has been an ongoing issue. At the same time, you have people putting the absolute minimum down on their down payments, and this will not end well. Switching gears a little bit, I thought this was interesting. China, Russia, and other authoritarian countries inflate their official GDP figures by anywhere from 15 to 30% in a given year, according to new analysis of a quarter century of satellite data. So they go through this, looking at all the images, trying to piece it all together, and I'll show you that right now. Now you need to actually go in, see these images for yourself. I didn't want to show you every single one, But compare these two countries. Okay, the lights are just so bright here. You can obviously see that's a very clear fact. And then look, barely to the north, there's just a dot that's on. Everywhere else is black. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, what we are looking at is nighttime lights. So the satellites are picking up the nighttime lights that are here over the years, trying to show the growth and how their expansion is really taking place. This is just one extreme example I found from there. Of course, the links will be in the description of the video so you can check it out for yourself. But they've basically said that using satellite imagery, countries like China and Russia have been manipulating their statistics. Now, we knew that already with China specifically, not just based on this, but other estimates that I've seen where we had growth around 7% and they were claiming it's around 4%. In this report, it makes the same claim, that it's around 3 to 4% lower than what we are being told. So, hey, China growth around 4% doesn't look so pretty anymore. So we have now, that's two reports showing us the growth is significantly lower. And last but not least, when Europeans fly the nest, average age at which young people leave the parental household. So you'll look around Europe, you can see different countries here, some of them going above the 30-year mark. Now, just wanted to state the fact that I don't think there's anything wrong with an individual staying at home. Different cultures do that. It's not just, this is Europe, but you look at different cultures around the world, and oftentimes they do stay with their parents. And it's just the way it is. But what we are talking about here is that many people have been unable to move out. They want to move out, but they can't afford it. That's when we have a big issue, because you're looking at people, they go to school, they rack up all this debt, they finish school. Did they get a job that they want? Did they get the pay that they want? A lot of people would say no. But are they even employed? Youth unemployment is incredibly high at this time. So they've perhaps graduated. If they do, they have just this massive pile of debt. Then they get a job, whether it's paying what they want or not. They pay down that debt, pay it down slowly but surely, and the years and years go on. And then they're 30 years old, and then a lot of people, as I've shown here before, are moving into dormitory-style places, or they're seeking multiple roommates to be able to make ends meet. Some people may like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have to live with a bunch of other people simply because you can only afford a room, let's say, that's where we have an issue. That wasn't the case a few decades ago. And somehow it just gets worse all the time. And it is the fault of central banks. Remember that. That's my message. I'm signing off. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel. So I do appreciate that very much. Now, if you found the video informative, I know that you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books at Amazon. All you got to do is go to the link in the description. It's going to take you over there, and you can actually flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.